This is Target Score Weekly with Joey Slattery and Taylor Allen.
Welcome into another edition of Target Score Weekly. I'm Joey Slattery. We've got Taylor Allen and special guest, bit of a collaboration with Bonfire Sports, Darrin Bauming, the arena voice of the Winnipeg Sea Bears. So anytime there's an exciting play and you can barely hear him because everybody's cheering, that barely heard voice, that's Darrin Bauming. And he's here today joining us on the show. Thanks for coming on, Darrin.
Boys, I'm absolutely jacked. I was telling you off air a second ago how excited I am for this. I'm never this fired up this early in the day. It's not that early, of course, but I can't wait for this, boys. Let's go. Target Score Weekly. I've been watching.
Recording this on what are we today? Friday at 10 a.m. So this is early for the Target Score boys. 9 a.m. where Taylor's from, because Taylor, you're in Regina right now.
I'm in beautiful Regina right now. Yeah, we're just talking the other week about the drive from Winnipeg to Regina, and Joey, you were saying how much you love it, how you think it's one of the most underrated drives in the country. And I kind of fought back on that stance, but you know, the other night I'm making the drive, and I gotta be honest, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I kind of appreciated it a little bit more after our chat. It's still not exhilarating, but you know, when you're used to driving from East Kildonan to the Bomber Stadium 5 days a week, it's kind of a nice peaceful drive, just driving through farm country for 6 hours. So yeah, would recommend.
There's some rollers, right? You got some rollers.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Once you get past there, you got the Capel Valley too. That's a beautiful drive too. But that's a little further than when you're going. I'm grateful too because I got my Celtics championship shirt in the mail. So now I've got the complete locker room championship outfit with my hat to boot. So, yeah, it just seems, Taylor, every week you think there's going to be less Celtics talk, and there's more Celtics talk. Just as grateful for that 18th banner as you are for that drive to Regina. Maybe a little bit more. Who knows? The Sea Bears, though, road woes continue. It's now 1-7. One win this entire season for the Sea Bears on the road. They were in Vancouver last night. Second part of a home-and-home series. They lost by a couple of points and a missed layup, actually, from Justin Wright-Foreman the first game in Winnipeg. So they almost pulled off the heroics after coming from behind yet again. Then in Vancouver, just struggled. They had a decent start, but the wheels started falling off into the second quarter. Vancouver went up as much as 25 points in this game. They ended up losing by 11, and it seemed like for a second that the Sea Bears were going to pull off another late one, right? It's target time. They started getting some momentum, hitting some shots, but Vancouver shut it down real quick. And those road woes continue against a really good Vancouver team, mind you. I mean, you know, we were all there for that game against Vancouver. We saw what Mitchell Creek was able to do. This guy's a veteran, you know, forward. He's played everywhere. He's from Australia. He's our Australian import. In 3 games, guys, this guy has scored 24 points and 8 rebounds in his first game. Follows that up in Winnipeg with 31 points and 7 rebounds. And then he follows that up with a double-double in his first home game, 31 points and 11 rebounds. And the Sea Bears just have no answer for this guy. I mean, you know, you talk about Tajay Moore, you talk about Nick Ward and how much attention goes to Nick Ward, but this Mitchell Creek guy is the real deal. I think he's going to be a sought-after free agent this coming year, assuming – you know, he doesn't re-sign. I shouldn't say assuming. That's if he doesn't re-sign with Vancouver, because he'll certainly be protected.
Yeah, I mean, that 4-game win streak that the Sea Bears had when they released Teddy feels like a lifetime ago now. They've now dropped 4 straight. I mean, this is kind of the first week where we have to actually talk about, are they even going to make the playoffs? Where these past couple of weeks, that was never even a thought, right? It was all like, okay, they're going to make the playoffs, but where are they going to be in the playoffs and whatnot? So now it's like, their back is on the ropes, and this upcoming game against Sask, against good old Teddy Allen, I mean, I'm going to steal your phrase here, Joey. It feels like a must-win game. So, yeah, this team, every week is a different story with these guys, but, like, they have not been playing good basketball lately. And, yeah, Vancouver's one of the best teams in the league, but, I mean, to be 1-7 on the road, you're not going to go far in this league if you can't win on the road, especially when this league ends championship weekend where you have to play 2 games on the road to be a champion. So yeah, it's to say it's an uphill climb for the Sea Bears right now would be a drastic understatement.
I'll steal a Joey Slattery line from our post-game show following the last Sea Bears home game, and that's the playoffs start now. So must win is every game. The Sea Bears they're up against it, right? The pressure is real. And like, it's almost compounded by the fact that, yeah, okay, they drop a game in Vancouver, not completely unexpected. Maybe their level of play was unexpected, but I think Vancouver is the favorite to win the CEBL championship in Montreal later this year. And that's when Tajay Moore is back to, closer to health, which I'm sure Vancouver is hoping is the case.
Well, last night he looked healthy. We'll just say that. Yeah,
that's good.
Real good.
That's good. And a positive indication. He is one of the premier players in this league, kind of can do everything, right? But all of that pressure the Sea Bears are feeling, that's going to be compounded by the emotional undertones or maybe even overtones inside Canada Life Center this weekend, because Teddy Allen coming back, the reigning MVP, and how everything shook out here in Winnipeg. Man, it's going to be a night.
Yeah, Tajay Moore, just for to give you some context here, did not play in the game in Winnipeg. He was back in the lineup for the Thursday night game. He played 32 minutes and had 25 points, 6 rebounds, and a couple of assists, a couple of highlight dunks as well. I mean, he's very entertaining to watch. I agree with you, Darren. I mean, right now, this is Vancouver's to lose. I mean, if you're Winnipeg, thankfully, you don't have to play Vancouver anymore, at least until playoffs, but we're not going to move that far ahead because it looks like right now Vancouver's going to secure that bye to championship weekend in the conference semifinals in Montreal. Edmonton's been struggling. They actually broke a losing streak yesterday, helping out the Sea Bears, oddly enough, with the win over Saskatchewan. I think it was just a 3-point win. Teddy Allen had 24 points in that one. So, Edmonton's been struggling too. I mean, it could be a very interesting end to the season. Calgary has gotten so much better in the second half of this season. I got to see them play in Edmonton, and they are just a fantastic team, in terms of the power that they have and the different looks that they're putting out there defensively. They were strong against Edmonton. And, part of it now I'm looking at it, maybe Edmonton's just struggling a little bit too. That made them look a little better, but they held them to a franchise low 58 points in that game. So not going to be easy as the, Sea Bears have to get ready for back-to-back games again with Calgary, right? It starts with Saskatchewan on Saturday. Then they play Calgary for their last home game on Tuesday. Then they head to Calgary to wrap up a 2-game road trip, in Alberta. So yeah, every game counts in this one, but it's the same recurring things at this point, right? It's you see little progress here and there, but at the end of the day, it's just not coming together unless they're at home, right? And that's one thing they've all been open talking about, is that home advantage has been a huge boost. But at the end of the day, you can't depend on winning half your games and losing half your games in terms of winning all of them at home and losing all of them on the road. At some point, you've got to string a couple together, and you're literally running out of time. You have 2 road games left, right? And that could be the difference of the playoffs at this point. Now, if they win against Saskatchewan on Saturday, that essentially will eliminate Sask. I believe that would put them up 2.5 games. Sask only has 2 games remaining, so I still think it would be a clinch. Calgary can clinch Friday night. So it looks like Calgary is going to be poised. I have no issues there, but I still think they're a playoff team. I think Saturday's game is going to be very emotional. I think Teddy's going to have an unbelievable game. He's not scored 30 points yet since he's joined Sask, I don't believe. So I can see that being his first night here in Winnipeg. There's going to be a lot of familiar faces for Teddy out there. He's got a loyal fan base out here. He's never been played in this situation. The only time we've seen him play in this situation was in Scarborough last year with Winnipeg, where he set the record or tied the record for most points in a game. I think it was 42. Right. So in the small sample we have, we know Teddy lives up in those situations. And you throw what I expect to be a sellout on Saturday. I'd be shocked if it isn't, just with the billing that's coming in and the Sask-Winnipeg rivalry. It's going to be about containing Teddy and knowing he's going to get his shots. But these guys are just going to have to bear down, because at this point, if you win this one, you can at least put your playoff rests aside, and then you could at least give a shot at hosting a playoff game. I don't think they're going to host a playoff game this year. That's one thing I'm starting to feel is probably slipped away, and it might be too little too late to grab that.
Teddy Allen can deliver the ultimate screw you if he can drop 30-plus points and lead the Rattlers to a big victory over his former team, the Winnipeg Sea Bears. Can you imagine? The story writes itself. And honestly, I could see it happening. Like you said, he hasn't scored 30 points in a game yet with Saskatchewan. He's due. And you think he's going to be pumped up for this one? Oh my goodness. And there's going to be all those talkative fans courtside. They're going to be giving it to Teddy all game long, and he's probably going to be loving it. So I'm expecting a huge game from him. The Sea Bears better come out and play their best, because it seems whenever they play Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan, they bring it. It doesn't matter what their record is. It's always an entertaining game between these two teams. But let's say Joey and DP, let's say even though if Winnipeg does win and they get to secure that final playoff spot in the West, I mean, so what? You have to then win the West play-in game, which would probably be on the road unless they rattle off a couple wins here at the end. Then you have to win the West semifinal, which would also be on the road. And then if you win that, you play the West final in Montreal. And if you win that, you play the championship game on that Sunday in Montreal too. So they have to win 4 straight games on the road, where they've only won 1 road game so far this year. So this year has just been bonkers, man. I just don't think it's in the cards. They've had way too many roster moves. I mean, again, look at this week. Shane Ossiande, Canadian power forward, they let him go, right? And you looked at the comment section on the Instagram post for that release. Everyone's saying like, man, if this team can somehow win the championship this year, they would have to make a documentary. ESPN 30 for 30 would have to highlight this team because this season's just been so bonkers and whatever. So yeah, but at this point, though, I think all these roster moves, all these changes are catching up to them. I mean, we've been saying for weeks now that, hey, as long as they can play their best basketball at the end and figure it out at the end, like they might be able to overcome all these moves and whatnot. But early signs indicate right now that they're not going to be hitting their peak. But there is still a couple of regular season games left, so it is possible. But right now, it's not looking that promising.
I'm looking forward to the Target Score Weekly 30 for 30 on this through the winter off season. I got 2 major questions about this coming weekend. Okay. 1, what will the reception be for Teddy Allen? Is it going to be mixed? Is it going to slant one way or the other? I'm really intrigued by that. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how the always incredible Sea Bears crowd reacts to Teddy Allen coming back. And will it be one way when he's introduced in the starting lineups and then another way when he's on the court? And, to your point, Taylor, like if he, puts the ultimate screw you game together and puts up 30 points, what's the reaction of the crowd going to be when he's dropping threes in the fourth quarter and in target score time? I'm really curious about that. The other is maybe a bigger question. Are the Winnipeg Sea Bears a Jekyll and Hyde? Are they are they a completely different team outside of the friendly combines of Canada Life Center? Because 1-7 on the road versus the basketball we've seen them play, the emotional ball, the determined and resilient basketball, the passionate and frankly, like they get punched, they get right up off the mat and they counterpunch. Mm-hmm. That's at home. On the road doesn't seem to be the case. So why is it a Jekyll and Hyde? Why is this team so different home versus away in this second season for them? Is it just the emotional maturity of the team as a whole? Because I'm trying to think of that guy, Chad Posthumous, might be the only one that is a veteran emotional leader that has been here from day one and, has helped ride that wave of roster turnover and wins and losses and success at home and, struggles on the road and all of it. That's what I'm really wondering right now.
Well, they're 6-2 at home, right? And all the games have been close. I mean, when you break it down, this has been a season of 4s. Like, they dropped the first game in Saskatchewan. That was the first game of the year. Then they win a couple, the first 2 home games against Scarborough and Ottawa. But then it's 4-4 now, right? Then it was they win 2, lose 4, win 4, and now they've lost 4. You can make the argument they've really only played one good stretch of basketball through those first 4 games post Teddy Allen. And it's like kind of good because 2 of those games they were down, 12 to Vancouver at target time, came back to win. Unbelievable. Same thing. It was 10 points, I believe, against Saskatchewan the next night. Unbelievable to come back down double digits in target score time. But you can't, that's a couple of bounces, right? I mean, if you don't get those bounces or the other team gets off the hop in target time and scores a couple of quick field goals, this is a different story, right? We're not even talking playoffs. We're talking about probably be the most abysmal in their history and probably for a long time, right? But at the end of the day, and Taylor, I think you talked about this last week, like they're lucky to be where they are. It's fortunate that they've won those games. They've earned those wins for sure, but it's not been convincing at any way, shape, or form. It's been entertaining, but I don't think it's been convincing. Now, if we're going by trends, they've got 4 games left, right? They could very well go on a 4-game win streak to end this whole season, and
they need to.
Nice little trend, right?
They need to,
but then also that, to Taylor's point, now you're asking for what, a 4, 5, 6, 7-game win streak to win out, essentially, right? So you don't have much wiggle room here. I mean, you don't need to win 4 straight, 3 for sure. You have to beat Sask for sure, and the 2 against Calgary. I think if you can go on a 3-game streak, that Edmonton game isn't as important. It only would maybe depend on positioning of whether or not you're going to Calgary or you're staying in Winnipeg. I mean, Edmonton might fall. Who knows? Maybe Edmonton falls that far back to 3rd, but I'm not sure. I assume this Calgary Winnipeg thing, they're going to get to know the Surge very well in the end of the season after only playing them once and getting demolished in Calgary the last and only time they played this season. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. But the thing is, Taylor, to your point, there's been a lot of turnover. This is something that's more, I think we were treated a little bit in that sense to a roster that was pretty solid last season. They only lost EJ and Asike for the playoffs because he was going to play with the national team. This year there's been a lot more turnover. Some of it needed, some of it, happenstance, I guess. Like I know Shane Osiande, talked about it with Mike Taylor. This was something that Shane wasn't happy with his role, and then they just came to terms that we're going to let you go. And props to Stefan Ingo. He didn't get much playing time last year, but he came in yesterday and he gave a heck of a game. This guy was wasn't playing. He was coaching. He was the video coordinator just last week for the Hamilton Honey Badgers. So this guy's not been playing, and he comes in with a couple days of prep. He played 12 and a half minutes. He had 8 points and he had 6 rebounds. And a block. So for me, in your first game back, and when I was talking to him, he said, I don't really recognize anybody here, right? Like Chad's the only guy that was here, and Simon that were here from last year. He's like, it's a complete new team. So it's not like he's coming to a team that he's familiar with. Coming to a coach, he is for sure. But this is a team that's really going to have to come together. And it's just, to me right now, especially in the last 4 games, there's really nothing that shows that it's in the works, right? I mean, it's going to take that spark. Someone's going to have to step up and just be like, hey man, these 16 games are behind us, right? Like the good, the bad, the ugly, all behind us. We have to look at this as a whole new season moving forward, and each game one at a time. And Justin Wright Foreman, like picking up the brunt of the scoring and playing really well, but it's just Emmanuel Acott has been playing really well. But then, even yesterday, you look at his box score, 4 points yesterday, 2 rebounds, a couple of assists, it just doesn't seem they have any consistency. If Justin Wright Foreman's not playing, they're hoping on an Acott or a Jared Ogunbemi Jackson, but there hasn't been anybody that's really stepped up consistently aside from Acott as a secondary scorer or someone that can just take over a game. We've seen flashes with Mason Boursier, sure. But as another factor of that is, what rhythm do these guys have, right? I mean, we're seeing so many different looks, different starters, different guys coming in and out of the lineup. I believe there's probably some confusion as to what roles are right now and, where they're playing, the spots that they're playing in. So these are all things that, the Mike Taylor playbook seems like a lot. You hear the guys talking about the systems and how much you have to learn when you're playing for him. Is this just a matter of too much with too little time, particularly when you add the element of the turnover? I don't know.
Well, I think what maybe their downfall is going to be down this home stretch is just the lack of a dominant big man that they don't have that, right? Like Byron Mullins was supposed to be that for this team this year, and he obviously was not, and is not here anymore. But when they're playing Vancouver and I'm watching Nick Ward, all I can think about is like, man, if the Sea Bears had a guy like that, and I know Nick Ward's probably the best big guy in the league and every team would love to have him, but they just don't have that dominant big guy, right? Like Simon had a really good game last night, and Chad's good in spurts, and Noah Starkey's not a bad rotational piece and whatnot, but they just don't have, again, that dominant big guy that can drop 20 and 10, right? Really be someone you could give the ball down low in the post when you need just like a basket, right? They just don't have that. Like, they have really strong guard play, right? They have 3 or 4 really good guards who can all dish the rock and shoot and score the ball well, but I just think the fact that they just don't have that big guy, right? That guy you can rely on in the post and whatnot is probably their biggest weakness. And I think to kind of go far in the playoffs and whatnot, you kind of need that. So I think that hole in their lineup is going to become more evident in these past or in the next couple of games.
I think that's a great point, Taylor. I absolutely agree. You watch these games and it's those moments that come and go where, yeah, exactly as you said, they just need a basket. Get it inside, make a power move, and score. Get a rebound. Something that you need a physical presence to accomplish. The guard play has been outstanding, and they're deep, to be able to go to Boursier and Jared Ogunbemi Jackson and the depth that they have on the bench, beyond Justin Wright Foreman, when they need to go to their guys, I think is outstanding. But that power presence, which I think helps feed emotion when you don't have the crowd, right? When you don't have the crowd, you maybe need somebody to go throw a shoulder into a guy and score, and then do it on the next possession and grab a rebound. And I think that fuels the emotion a lot. And Winnipeg has been missing that. And I think maybe that's what shows on the road. I have to ask you guys, I would love your opinion on this, because we're talking about, do they need to win out or at least win 3 of their final 4? If you put the 2 situations in a vacuum, each of them separate from one another, what's the bigger hill to climb right now? This Sea Bears team doing whatever they need to do, getting help from other teams, playing themselves to win the championship in 2024, or winning 4 straight games to go into the postseason. Are they one and the same? Maybe, because if you don't win 4 straight games to go into the postseason, where's the momentum? Where's the belief? And, where is that emotional fire on an off day to say, you know what, we're back to playing Sea Bears basketball. We're back to rolling. Doesn't matter if we got to go and play Calgary or play Vancouver or play the best teams in the East. We know we can win. So I'll leave that question to you guys. Are those one and the same, or is one of those a bigger hill to climb? Just the greater idea of the Sea Bears winning the championship this year in Montreal, or winning 4 straight games and running the table the rest of the way?
I think momentum's a dangerous thing in this league, DB, because if you get too sucked into it, it's too small, right? We talk about momentum. Well, they had a 4-game win streak. Everything looked great. They were above 500. Then they lost 4, right? The thing in this league is you got to bounce back quick. And I think even with this one, the bigger hill to climb is the championship for sure, because I don't even think they need to win. I think they need to win 3 of 4. If they win all 4, great. But it's going to be the path afterwards, because now you're going against the teams that have given you the struggles, right? I mean, Saskatchewan, they've given you struggles all season, but you beat them tomorrow. You don't have to worry about them. Calgary pumped you, and they've only gotten better since then. So now you've got Calgary a couple of times. If you can win those games, great. That Edmonton game doesn't mean as much, because you would have clinched your playoff spot and maybe getting that home advantage. Now that's where I see the bigger hill to climb. Can you win all those on the road? Because if you don't get that home game, you're going to play your last 2 games on the road. Then you're going to be on the road for the play-in game. And if you can win that, you're on the road again for the conference final. And then if you can win that, you're in Montreal. So you're going to be a long time away from Winnipeg. So to me, the bigger hill to climb would definitely be that championship, just because of the road games. You have 1 win all season. And now you're going to tell me that you can end on 5 straight road wins, or 6, whatever the amount of games would be after that. I mean, that's a tough sell for me.
So if they're going to do that, they better win 4 straight to finish the regular season. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they better do that to show that they, to themselves and everybody else, it doesn't matter where we're playing or who we're playing, we can win.
I do think this way, though, kind of like football, right? If we kind of lend from that, once you're in the postseason, it's that weight off your shoulders, okay? That's, I think, the big thing right now is that, man, we might not make it. This is going to be a disappointment. Think of all the stuff we're going to have to hear with, because let's be honest, like the Winnipeg market is one where you're going to hear about this well into next season, into training camp until the next season starts, right? And if you have a bad start to next season, everything's going to reference back here. And next year's a big year because they host championship weekend. And I believe that'll be the last year of Mike Taylor's contract too, if I'm not mistaken. But actually, I think he might have a year after that. But either way, the pressure mounts, right? So you get that off your shoulders, great. And then it's one game at a time. You know, it's just like football. It's single elimination. It's not like you're going into a series. It's just, I got to win this one game by any means necessary. Hurt, not hurt, sick, not sick. Like, you have to bring your best and give yourself a chance. So yes, it would be nice to win that 4 games, but I don't think winning 4 games doesn't mean they're going to lose the 5th, right? Or the 6th, whatever it is. It's just a tall task to win that many games, let alone that many on the road to end your season.
It all starts with the Saskatchewan game. Like, this is going to be a very emotional game. So if you win that one, that is a huge, boost of momentum for this team. And who knows what could happen in those last 3 games after that, right? But I just really don't see them rattling off 4 straight wins, especially with 2 of those games being on the road and playing Calgary twice and Edmonton on the road, a team that they've historically have had troubles against. So this is kind of the first week where it's kind of, for me, it's kind of hit me where it's like, you know what? I just don't see a scenario where this team wins the championship this year. Like, all throughout the season, there's been so many different things happening and whatever. Actually, that's not true. The week when they got rid of Teddy, the week before that, when they looked terrible in Teddy's last game, I was like, this team isn't winning the championship. But since that point, I've been like, I think this team has what it takes to be a champion still, and whatever they've had it in flashes and whatnot. But now it's kind of like, I don't know. I think they've just dug themselves too big of a hole. And I think for this team to win the championship, they need some home playoff games, right? And it's probably not going to happen. So sorry, Seabears fans. I just don't think this year it's in the cards. And I think, again, with all this roster turnover and whatever, it's just like, that's not typically how a championship season goes. So
that's why
maybe people believe, but I don't know.
I'm not telling Seabears fans to give up hope if they lose one of their final 4 games of the regular season. But I'm saying, if they're going to do it, they need to win out. They need this momentum. They got to string them together.
Well, they need defense. Looking at the schedule this year, they played 16 games in 8. So half of those games, they've given up 100 points or more. In 11 of those games, they've given up at least 90 points, and there's not a single game where they've given up less than 80, right? So,
and wouldn't you say that those defensive lapses happen in like really painful chunks? Like, it's just like the other team just goes on runs. It seems like the defense lapses and then gets it back together.
Well, that's it. And these runs are killing them, right? And that's the big thing. Like, even yesterday, you had 3 guys in 6 figures. Like, just to bring up yesterday's game, we've got Simon Hildebrandt, 15 points, 11 from Jared in 21 minutes. Scotty Lindsay, 14 in 23 minutes. I mean, he was 2 for 7 from 3, but 5 for 12 from the field. And so you've got 4 guys that are in double figures, and you scored 92 points. That should be enough. Problem is, you gave up 103. And that's where we're seeing the issue now with with them. It's you're one of the best scoring teams for sure, but on that same token, you're giving up some of the most amount of points as well. Like, just to put it in perspective, they're 7th now in points, so they have. Let's go averages here per game. So when you look at per game, they're scoring 91.6 points per game. That's 6th in the league. Not terrible. Sorry,
but they had a slow start. They weren't scoring well at the beginning of the year.
Totally. So but they're 5th in scoring. So they're the top half of the league with 91.6. So they're scoring more than half the teams they play against, including Edmonton and Saskatchewan, oddly enough. So they do score more points than those teams. However, when it comes to point against, they've got a 3-point cushion on the Ottawa Blackjacks. They allow the most points in the entire league. And this is, to me, where the big downfall happens, because sometimes it's in the paint. Sometimes it's in transition. Yesterday we saw a little bit of everything. There were times where you had 2 or 3 Seabears ready for a rebound, but the one bandit got the rebound, right? And that might be an experience thing, but I look at the last play of the game, Tajay Moore misses the foul shot to win the game. Just had to hit it. It's over. The rebound goes directly into Mitch Creek's hands, who shovels it over to Tajay Moore, who puts up a little, mid-paint floater for the win, right? Like, those are the plays I'm talking about, where the teams like Vancouver see the opportunity, put it away. You've got guys like Mitch Creek, Tajay Moore that can, get over it quickly. Tajay Moore's not sitting there, hands in his head, like, oh, I missed the foul shot. It's nope, boom, there's the rebound, give me the ball back. I'm going to take care of business, and it's done. And that's what we're not seeing with the Sea Bears. I think it was supposed to be Teddy, right? When the season all started, it was supposed to be everybody was going to compliment Teddy. Then you bring in Justin Wright Foreman, and I still, to this day, believe that was brought in as a guy to play with Teddy. And I think just a safety net if Teddy doesn't stay with the team has ended up happening. But I think they truly wanted that to work. But now you've got Justin Wright Foreman, who gets the ball when clock's winding down for sure. But there's just over the length of a game, when we're talking an entire game, those games are won in those middle quarters too, right? We always tend to focus on the starts and the finishes, but what happens in the middle two quarters that can really shift a game one way or the other? And what's happening is more teams are making better plays. And in some cases, the Sea Bears are just throwing the ball away. I mean, we've seen a few turnovers where, Jared Ogunbemi-Jackson slips while driving, trying to push the pace up the other way. And then it rolls into someone's hands and it's a skip pass, down the court, and it's an open dunk or whatever it is. Like, we've seen Justin Wright Foreman, some turnovers late in the game and stuff like that. So, I mean, taking care of the ball is one thing, but then defensively is just finding a way to stop these teams. There's just no excuse when you're allowing the most points and you have a 3-point cushion. It's not even like, you're 0.3 points ahead of the last team. This is by far the easiest team to score on right now. And when you're looking at 4 games before playoffs, that's got to be a little bit alarming, no?
No, very, very, very alarming. Yeah, if you're not playing defense, you don't have a dominant big guy. Again, I'm beating this drum over and over again. All this roster turnover, half these guys probably don't even know the names of all their teammates. That's not the recipe for a championship season. But DB, I want to ask you a couple of questions, though, about the life as an arena announcer. I'm curious, is there, because there's every sports league, they have arena announcers, right? But in basketball, I feel like the arena announcer job in basketball is like the most important. And that sport of all, like, you're the vibe guy, right? Like, a good arena announcer just sets the tone for the crowd and the game and whatnot. So I'm curious, do you have a favorite call that you've had in your 2 years doing it for the Sea Bears?
Yeah, that's a good question. You're right about the vibe, though, because I feel it. I'm I don't know, if I got deep for a second, I would share that, I'm an emotional guy by nature, right? I feel emotion as much as I emit emotion. That's in my regular personal life or work life, whatever. And I think people that watch Bonfire Sports know that. People that come to Sea Bears games, I think, know that. I try to feed off the crowd as much as I try to feed the crowd that emotion, whether it's, a flat, quieter moment or an intense game-winning shot and 10,000 people are going absolutely bonkers. My favorite call, I mean, there's been so many dramatic finishes at Canada Life this season, last season. I think Justin Wright Foreman's first time winning in target score time, I think just like I hadn't had it planned or anything, but he was, looking to the crowd, arms open, and I said, "Welcome to Winnipeg." It was an arrival moment for Justin Wright Foreman and a huge win. I think it was that first win following the release of Teddy Allen and the beginning of the 4-game winning streak. And I mean, that was probably my favorite, especially this year, because it just seemed like a touchstone moment in the Sea Bears season. Moving on from Teddy, handing the reins to maybe not last year's reigning MVP, but last year's reigning scoring champion in the CEBL and Justin Wright Foreman. And those moments are very special because of the energy, like I talked about. And I'll just leave it at this. I'm a reporter and a broadcaster and a small J journalist covering sports, right? If it's the Bombers or the Jets or the Gold Eyes in my years covering them. I've had to be very professional and very objective and very balanced. And I still do. But with the Winnipeg Sea Bears, I get to wear my Sea Bears hat. I get to be part of the fan experience, and I get to emit and truly feel and live that energy that's inside the building. I've never had more fun working in my entire life. And that's a big air quotes working, because it's not work. I come home exhausted. I come home tired, and the vocals are fatigued, but man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's so much fun being at the Sea Bears games.
Well, you used to do the University of Manitoba games as well. And then I recently took that over last year. And I agree with you. It's kind of like an escape, right? Like it's almost like the toy of this. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to, make a full-time living on it or anything like that. But it's something fun when you can go up there and emulate, everything that it's always funny. Like I always kind of think like what I wanted when I was a kid, right? When I dreamed of like what the big times would be like. And there's nothing like when you can hear like the arena just full, right? Like when you let that, like I always think of like, obviously I'm a Celtics fan, but he's got this way like 4-3, and you just hear it like so smooth. And when you can hear it kind of around the arena, just like amplifying the moment, when a big three's hit or whatever, I love it. It's like my toy when I get to do that. And even volleyball, like I've kind of just made my basketball call my volleyball call, because I'm not really a huge volleyball guy, but liking people having fun. Who's our visitor here, Darrin?
Yeah, speaking of toys, this is Ruby. I rescued her right before the Grey Cup last year. I've had her for less than a year. Best dog I could ever imagine. But yeah, sometimes she's a little needy, right? She needs a little attention.
What kind of dog is she?
I'm her third owner, so she's finally settled into a nice home and has been great. But yeah, volleyball, criminally underrated. Volleyball,
big time. I was never a big volleyball guy.
At the U of M and the U of W, Red River College, volleyball, basketball. That's where I did kind of cut my teeth in stadium announcing, arena announcing, doing some football play-by-play, that sort of thing. When I was a kid growing up, guys, I would go to Bombers games at Canadian Stadium, at Winnipeg Stadium at Polo Park. And the job I always wanted was to be that Winnipeg Blue Bombers stadium announcer, the guy that said 22-yard completion to Milt Stiegel and another Winnipeg first down. Like I wanted to be that guy, and I still do. You know what I mean? Like it's still that dream that I have. And of course, Bob McGregor, who has done that job for so many years, iconic voice. I hope he does it forever, because he makes those experiences. I don't know, like it's like a trademark of going to the game and hearing that voice. I mean, I'm honored and blessed and so fortunate to be able to do the Winnipeg Sea Bears again this season. I hope I can just add a little bit to the fan experience, the way that those arena announcers and stadium announcers from my experience as a fan prior to going into sports reporting and broadcasting as a career, to be that, to provide that I loved so much.
Real quickly, my goat and a shout out to the Gold Ice PA announcer, Ron. Is it Arns? Oh,
legend.
Legendary, and one of the nicest guys. We obviously we're a Sea Bears podcast, so we don't really talk a lot of Gold Eyes, but I had to put that in because I'm a big Gold Eyes fan. I love going to games out there, and Ron's voice is a big part of it, man. Like it's funny.
What's your favorite call that he does? What's your favorite one? The Better Call Mako one when someone hits a foul ball.
My favorite is there's that one, and then they have the one thing where they show the license plate of a car, and it says on the scoreboard, it's like, if you have license plate, blah, 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 you have the dirtiest car in the parking lot. Like, just like he's got like that, like, what's his name from Price is Right? Sometimes like, he's got like almost like a game, not Bob Barker, the guy that says, come on down. Like he's got that kind of like game show announcer voice.
And it's like, it like drips with just enough sarcasm and just enough facetiousness when needed. I love that. Those are the best voices that really capture, a feeling just by the way they say a word. That's
a
the
detail only a veteran could hit, right? Like just a natural there. Like I couldn't imagine. I don't even know if he's missed a game. I've never gone to a Gold Eyes game with another voice.
He's missed
and that,
a handful, like in the 25 plus years of the Gold Eyes.
Thir-
But like, yeah, he's been
years.
at base 30. Okay, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Stand corrected. Yeah, he's been at basically every single game, and you know, it's
crazy.
a 50 games a summer for the Gold Eyes, right, in Winnipeg. So yeah, that's quite the commitment. So
He's a beauty.
Winnipeg's been lucky to have him for so long.
Well, this has been the Ron Arst honorary episode of Target Score Weekly. No, that's a great job by Ron. I love Ron. Now let's move on, though. You have a new segment you want to introduce, Taylor. It's a good segment. And DB, you're as fresh to this as we are. We've never done this. So Taylor, if you want to take it away and let us know what we're doing today, because we haven't had Target Time. We've had a few people reach out and be like, yeah, I really love Target Time, miss it. Yeah, we haven't had many guests simply because this road schedule has been nuts for all of us. So hopefully we'll get a few more players on before the end of the season. But this one, we'll tickle your fancy in the meantime. Go ahead, Taylor.
Tickle your fancy. That's a good one. Like that. Yeah, let's try something different here today. So we're going to try a new segment called The Draft. Yeah, Target Time's nice, asking quick questions and whatever, but the draft, get us to think, get us to compete, so it'll be a good time. So it'll be a different, subject, every time we do a draft. But this week, I think it makes the most sense since the Bombers are playing the Riders, the Rattlers are playing the Sea Bears, that this draft is going to be the best rivalries in sports. So it'll be 5 rounds. Right, we'll do a snake draft, and since DB's our guest here, we'll give him the first overall pick, and at the end, we'll see who has the best list of sports rivalries, and then we'll put it up to our listeners, throughout the week, and they can vote on it, see who picked the best crop, and away we go. So DB, with the first overall pick and the first ever Target Score Weekly draft, in your opinion, what is the best rivalry in all of sports?
In all of sports.
All of sports.
That's a huge question, because you could talk about international soccer and, of course, European football. You could talk about the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, the National Hockey League, a lot of great regional rivalries, that sort of thing. But knowing our audience, knowing where the three of us reside, and knowing the type of guy that I am, I don't think you guys will be too surprised. I don't know if you see all these balls behind me, but we've got a CEBL basketball and we got some CFL footballs. I'm going to take what I believe is the best rivalry in Canadian sports, and that is Blue Bombers, Rough Riders, Labor Day, Banjo Bowl. We're getting a taste of it early this year with a July Bombers trip to Regina, but the fan bases, the teams, the history, the just kind of hate and community friendliness, because we are the same people. I really believe that as Canadians, people from Saskatchewan, people from Manitoba, we're the same, but we're also different enough that we can hate each other for a day or an afternoon or a night or a week or a weekend or a season. I'm taking Bombers Riders, number 1.
Good pick.
You sold me on that pick. At first I was like, I don't know, that's kind of a homer pick, but I mean, wow, that was a good sales.
Conviction in his voice.
Yeah.
This is the guy sitting in Regina right now, hey?
Yeah, exactly. Joey, I'll let you go second overall.
All right, with the second overall pick, Joey Slattery takes the greatest rivalry in sports, Celtics and Lakers, of which the Celtics are winning with 18 championship banners to the Lakers' lowly 17.
Honestly, I don't think anyone cares about that rivalry outside of Lakers and Celtics fans. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah? Where's the documentary?
I really don't
Where's the HBO series on any of your rivalries? Oh, yeah, there are none. Winning time. Uh-oh.
Pacers Knicks, hello, that's one of the best rivalries.
Oh my god!
Well, it was
one year they have a cool playoff series.
One year they went back and forth for a couple of years.
Could I just pause on this real
I don't
quick?
think anyone cares about the Lakers Celtics. I don't.
I think everybody does,
and
I think you're just jealous because your team is terrible-ish. Now, Winning Time. My favorite thing about Winning Time was supposed to be about the Lakers. and then it got canceled through the second season. So it ended on the Celtics winning a championship against the Lakers. That's how the series ends, which I had read online. It's like the ultimate spirit of Red Auerbach coming in, not even letting the Lakers win in their series made for them. And then that very same year, the Celtics win their championship. So, fun fact.
Okay, well, that's enough Celtics talk. So with my pick, are we doing a snake draft?
Yeah.
We'll snake. Yeah, we'll go snake. I'm going to go, since it's a basketball show, right? I'm going to go North Carolina Duke. When those two fan bases meet, oh man, it's always rocking, you know? So North Carolina.
No Lakers Celtics, but yeah, you're right.
No, it's even bigger than Lakers Celtics, but you know, whatever. So I'll go with that with my first one. Then my next one, I'm kind of torn between two. Since we're in Canada, you know, I'll go with the hockey one. Habs Maple Leafs, man. Habs Maple Leafs.
That was going to be mine.
I know the Leafs haven't won anything in 100 years, but I mean, still, those two fan bases, man, those two teams, whenever they meet, it's electric, right? So, Habs, Leafs.
That was the biggest rivalry. I grew up in northeastern Ontario, not far from the Quebec border, man. That was, you were either Habs or Leafs. That was everything when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Man, that,
you,
okay.
Joey?
With my second pick, then I'm going to go to baseball for this one and go Red Sox Yankees. One of the most storied rivalries of all time, highlighted for me in 2004, one of the greatest playoffs of all time in Major League Baseball, and the coming down from 3-0 to win that series 4-3 against the Yankees, and then head out to sweep the Cardinals for a World Series. And so many great Joe Buck calls. I know Joe Buck isn't everybody's guy. I love Joe Buck, and he had so many classics in that series alone. So I'm going to go with Yankees Red Sox.
Good pick. Good pick on the broad scale. I'm a little bit torn right now with my second pick. I would love to go hockey because I love regional rivalries, and there's a significant one that I really enjoy and have enjoyed a lot, especially when the Winnipeg Jets were gone. That time in between, you needed to kind of identify with, you know, a team, that sort of thing. I'm going to leave that one. I don't know if, I guess this is a snake draft, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you go back to back here.
Oh, if I got two picks, well, then I don't have to be torn, right? Okay, I'm going to take the Battle of Alberta, Oilers, Flames, as my second choice in the sports rivalry draft. I just interprovincial, major league sports, and just again similar to the Bombers Riders, that fan base jabbing rivalry. Call your cousin and be like, you guys are gonna lose. I think is a special thing. So I'll go with that with my second pick. And to sneak it back to you, Joey. I'm going to go to football, but I'm going to go to the United States and the NCAA, and a rivalry that I always enjoy. And I was torn between a couple of these in the NCAA football, but I'm going to go Michigan, Ohio State. I love watching that matchup anytime they play. One of my favorites.
That's a really good pick. I was at an Ohio State game once, and it was unreal. I had so much fun. I can't remember who they were playing, but they swamped them. CJ Stroud was the quarterback, though, and he put up like 45 points or something ridiculous. But yeah, good call. This is tough now. I think I'm going to go with my third pick. I'm going to go to hockey because I haven't touched hockey yet. Battle of Alberta was the one I wanted to go with. Yeah. But another close one would be, and actually Habs Leafs, another good one, but Habs Bruins. That one has the cross-border rivalry that is heated, that goes back years and years. I always love that, and how much Boston, I feel like it's Boston that hates Montreal more, to be totally honest, probably because they have more championships. But yeah, I love how that rivalry and how an American city can hate a Canadian city so much.
Yeah, I feel like in the past decade, it has been more Habs Bruins has been the bigger, probably past 20 years, honestly, it's been maybe the bigger rivalry because they've played in the playoffs a couple times
and they're kind of regional too, right? Like Boston's not that far from Montreal, so
yeah.
It's original six,
man.
Right? It's a good one.
Yeah. It's getting hard now, boys. I don't know. There's many different directions one could go right now. think I got to go with some soccer right now. I think it's overdue. I'm going to go Brazil, Argentina. There's been a lot of battles between those two countries. It's heated. You don't want to be, sitting in the wrong section if you're at one of those games. Those crowds are insane. So I think
that's a hemispherical rivalry.
Yes.
The whole Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. And then my next one, this could be soccer as well, but I'm going to go women's hockey, Canada, US.
That was my next pick. I hate you.
They meet in the gold medal every time. It's always a battle. And some of my favorite memories of watching sports growing up is Canada, US.
Literally, as you're saying that, I'm like, that was my actual pick that I wanted.
Yeah, I was
for Bruins and Habs, and I always
no word of a lie. I was gonna go Canada USA next.
It's that 0-2 series for me where they step on the flag and Haley Wickenheiser gives that that heartfelt speech. They want to step on our flag, or when they won in 2010 and they're all smoking cigars with the big Bubba kegs of like Molson Canadian or whatever it was. I'm not even sure if the whole team was aged. That was funny, but yeah, Canada US. That's a good one. I think we all have that on our radar. Oh man. Well, okay. I'm gonna go pull a page from Bauming here, and I'm gonna go with local rivalry.
Gold Eyes and Sioux Falls Canaries, or
no, even maybe deeper than that, and it's really currently hitting its stride. I'm going to go the University of Manitoba Bisons and Winnipeg Westmen in basketball, particularly the men's this year, but it can go both ways. But the last couple of years, the men's have been building up as two of the top teams in Canada West, and they have all their returning guys. I think Wyatt Tate was the only guy that left Manitoba this year. So you've got teams that were in Canada West tournament last year. One went to nationals. I think this year it's going to be even bigger and better, especially with Moran and having a year as with the Sea Bears and practicing with them as a full-time player. Simon Hildebrandt obviously coming back for year 3. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to go UW and U of M.
How many more picks? How many more rounds are we going here, guys?
Just 5. So you got 2 more on the snake.
Yeah, your last 2 picks.
Okay, so this is my last 2 picks.
Yep.
Canada USA. Gosh, I really wanted that one. I might have to package a couple of mine and try to pull a trade with you, TA. I will go. I had a few in mind. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now.
That's hard when you get to we're nearing 15 picks here.
I'll go Jets Predators.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
In the NHL. Just that 2018 conference semifinal. And I mean, you could almost put Vegas in there as well, but it just, the division game that is Jets Predators. And I think it'll be almost rejuvenated this year with the work Barry Trotz has done to, reload the Predators. So I'll take that one. And I mean, that's a close call between that and the other division rival for the Winnipeg Jets that I'll leave unnamed at the moment. Last one. I'm gonna go back to football, guys. I'm gonna go Patriots Colts and the Manning Brady rivalry between those two teams through the 2000s.
Oh, I would almost go, I'd probably go quarterbacks as the rivalry.
Sure.
Even beyond the past.
I was thinking like LeBron versus the NBA is almost a rivalry, but I'm going with those two. And I know the Patriots are more like, Patriots fans more hate the Bills and the Dolphins. Those are more of their actual rivals. But I'm going broad
to those guys.
Hey?
But they lost 2 games to the Bills and Miami during their run. It was the Colts Patriots. That was the game. Yeah. So that's the accurate pick.
Yeah. That's
okay. I'm not even a tennis fan, but Federer Nadal.
Ooh, nice.
That's probably the only I would have only tennis I would watch. And they in their prime going back to back racing for titles. I mean, it was unbelievable. So I'm going to go give my respect to tennis and say Federer Nadal. Taylor, you got one left.
The final pick of the draft. Honestly, this pick should have been 1-1. This should have been the first one off the board. I cannot believe it's fallen to me with the last pick of the draft, because this is by far the best rivalry in sports, and it's, you can't even argue it. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Mic drop. 3 WrestleMania matches. Stone Cold wins the first 2. The Rock wins the last one. So many classic memories with those two. Some say the 2 greatest wrestlers of all time, or most entertaining wrestlers of all time, at least. When you think classic wrestling rivalries, that sets the bar. There's been so many good ones, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, and so many others, Undertaker and Kane and whatever, but no, Stone Cold and The Rock single-handedly took down WCW. They were such a good rivalry, such a good duo, that they pushed WWE on top in the Monday Night Wars. So, sorry guys, I think I just won the draft with that pick alone right there.
Well, first off, technicality, that is sports entertainment. And yes, I love that era of wrestling particularly, but I thought we were going with competitions that are not predetermined.
Hey, I made the rules for this, and that was never a rule. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay, let's quickly go up here. I kept track of the picks. So Darrin Bauming, who had the first overall pick in the draft, went with the Bombers and Riders. His second pick was Oilers Flames. His third pick, Michigan versus Ohio State college football. His fourth pick were Jets and Predators, NHL hockey, and then the Pats and Colts, particularly focusing in on the Brady and Peyton Manning era. That were his top 5. Taylor's, his first pick, Duke UNC college basketball. Second pick, Habs Leafs NHL. Third pick, Brazil Argentina international men's soccer. Fourth pick, Canada US women's hockey. And his fifth pick, again, a little bit of scrutiny going to go behind this one, The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in sports entertainment, a sport that comes with predetermined finishes.
It's a well-rounded draft, TA.
It is well-rounded, very well-rounded. And then I love how you put that in your back pocket, though, as your last one, knowing that we wouldn't assume that. So, maybe a little cheating involved, not sure, but it is a great pick. Joey's picks. His first pick, the greatest rivalry of all time, Celtics-Lakers, followed by probably the second of all time, Yankees-Red Sox. Third, I have Bruins and Habs. Fourth, I have a U Sports Canada West Winnipeg rivalry, the University of Winnipeg, Westman, and University of Manitoba Bisons basketball. And then I went tennis, my wild card with Federer and Nadal. Good draft, guys. Who do you think won?
Oh, I did.
I think I won. I know I
won. I don't think I won. I
Taylor
know
didn't win.
So.
Yeah, well, good to see that we're all approaching this, with such sportsmanship and, objectivity. Yeah, whatever.
We left some good ones out there, though. I mean, Steelers, Ravens. I mean, I wanted to pick them. I mean, that's always a classic. And I mean, Canada and the Soviet Union. 72 Summit Series. I mean, come on,
Bulls Pistons.
Bigger than
that's
that.
Another
Bulls,
one that
Pistons,
I like. Yeah. Nonetheless, all right. We should
if
probably
I
wrap
knew
this
we were
up.
doing sports entertainment, it was short-lived, but it was one of my favorites. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart.
Oh, that was the one that got me in.
But
that's my in, right?
Yes.
And I love Bret Hart, but like part of me was like the charisma of Shawn Michaels was hard to ignore.
No, I hate Shawn Michaels. Team Bret Hart all the way.
Yeah, I'm also.
But yeah, that good mention, DB. Yeah,
we could have went there.
Not even a big
Hulk
wrestling
Hogan,
guy, but I remember those days.
Andre the Giant, Gorgeous George, and I don't know. I'm just kidding. But anyway, great draft, guys. To put a bow on this, Sea Bears have lost 4 straight now, are 1-7 on the road. They have a couple of home games coming up, none bigger, and everyone has it circled on their calendar. The return of Teddy Allen with the Saskatchewan Rattlers, making his first appearance at Canada Life Center as a visiting basketball player. It'll be interesting. DB, you said what you wonder the reception will be like. I think it's going to be very warm until he goes off. I don't know if it'll get cold, but you're going to hear a lot of silence if it does become a bit of a lead on Saskatchewan's part, led by Teddy Allen. But that'll be followed up by a game against Calgary on Tuesday, which will also be important. Next episode, I guarantee you we're going to be talking a lot of Calgary and Winnipeg, because I think that's going to be the key for the Sea Bears as the season winds down. DB, real quick, where can people find you?
Bonfiresports.ca has links to everything. Of course, live on YouTube, but you can find all our social medias at Bonfire WPG.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us again, man. Really appreciate it. Finally got you on the show. I've been on Bonfire a bunch of times, so I'm glad to get you here on Target Score Weekly. Taylor was the one really pushing for it. Not sure why he was so eager to have you, but I'm glad he was.
Well, I've had both of you guys on Bonfire Sports before, and for people that out there that don't know, you two are two of my favorites, and two guys that I love talking sports with, basketball with at the Sea Bears games. And am I going to see you guys both Saturday night?
You betcha.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're going to be there. I wasn't sure, but
one.
then I found out DB is going to be there, so I'm there. Appreciate the love, DB. We love you right back. And Taylor, thanks for making the time out in Regina. Have fun at the game, Riders and Bombers. Not Labor Day, but little preview of what's to come. We will see you next week with another episode. Enjoy the game on Saturday, particularly, and everybody go out and get your tickets because I feel like this one might be a sellout. Teddy Allen returns on Saturday. We return next week. Have yourselves a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Target Score Weekly podcast. To stay up to date with Winnipeg Sea Bears and CEBL news, as well as future episode releases, follow Joey and Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at TaylorAllen31 and at Joey Slattery TV. And wherever you're getting the podcast, be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.